The Toy Story movies have always left a big impact on me. I have been watching them for just so long now, and every time a movie comes out, I always have to go out and see it. And with Toy Story 4, I was pretty skeptical when I first heard about it. Like a lot of fans. We always thought that Toy Story 3 had the perfect ending, that there didn't really have to be another film. Sure, yeah, they're okay just to go and keep the franchise going, but we weren't really sure if we really needed another film. So when the film was announced, I just really wasn't sure. And then when the plot was announced about being a love story between Woody and Bo, I was still very skeptical about it, and I just wasn't really sure. So I've gone to see it, and I do have an opinion on it, but first, let's go and give my opinions on the first three movies. The first Toy Story. It's definitely one of my favorite Pixar movies. Probably number 2, I think. It's the film that pretty much got me into all this kind of stuff to become a big Pixar fan. It's the movie that when it made CGI, changed everything. A lot of people can go and say that it ruined 2D animation or anything, something like that. But to me, it's just such a great movie because it's just... See? I don't even have words for it. It would probably be even my 10 favorite movies of all time. And it's... let's see, I'm trying to think of a word to use it, but... It is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. Toy Story 2. Out of the first 3, I would probably place it at the bottom, which is weird since I know a lot of people think it's even better, but it's still a really good movie, but I would probably put it at the bottom of those 3 movies, and it introduced a lot of good characters like Jessie and Bullseye and the bad guy Stinky Pete, even though he was only in that movie, but just, I don't really know why I like Toy Story better. Maybe it's just because I saw it first and it just has a more nostalgic feel, I guess, but Toy Story 2, it's still a really good movie, and the scenes that do make me cry, such as Jessie giving her backstory, that does get me. Toy Story 3. This movie came out when I was, I think, just graduated from high school, so it was kind of like a graduation present in a way. And like Toy Story 2, it did get me to cry with the ending, and that really powerful moment with they were in the incinerator. That was a good scene. And the villain, Lotso, he was kind of similar to the villain from Toy Story 2, but still, I mean, he was a good villain, but he was still a little too similar, but nonetheless, a great villain. So now we have Toy Story 4, and I liked it. It really surprised me. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Now, I think I would have to say I would have to put it at the bottom of my list for the Toy Story movies, but nonetheless, it's a great, great movie. So, of course, the plot of the movie is about at first when Bo decides to go and leave Woody, and of course Woody is hesitant about it. He doesn't want it to happen, but he knows that Bo doesn't get played with anymore. Bonnie doesn't care for her, so she doesn't really have much to go and live for by being with him anymore, and I'll get to that later. So because he just has no use anymore, she doesn't see any reason to go and stay there. She go and move on with her life. So she does that, and then we jump to years later in the present where Bonnie is now entering kindergarten. So in 3 she was in preschool, but now she's in kindergarten. From what I read, this takes place 2 years later, so she's probably about 5 now, I'm guessing, and Andy would probably be about 19 or 20 at this point, so... So she goes to her kindergarten, and she's really scared at first, like some kids are on their first day of kindergarten, but she goes on and makes a toy out of a spork. And that always kind of raises a few questions. What is a toy in a Toy Story universe? What makes it alive? We've seen toys that they don't have to have eyes or mouths to go and be alive. They can just be something like a little truck and they'll be alive. And that hasn't really been answered. We don't know really what's alive and what's not. Board games in the universe, they aren't alive. But in Etch-a-Sketches, they are alive, so it's a really weird thing. I would really like to go and see them explain that more. But, so, the sport called Forky comes to life, but he doesn't know what's going on. This is all weird to him. To him, he's supposed to be trash. But Woody's trying to go and convince him that he's a toy. So we spend about 10 minutes or so of him trying to go and throw himself away, and Woody trying to go and say, no, you're a toy, she'll love you. But he's not having any of it, so he jumps out of the RV and onto the street, and Woody has to go and save him. So Woody is able to go and convince him that that Bonnie will love him because, well, he's her trash. That was the best way he could pretty much go and get it to him. So they eventually get to this RV place, which has an antique shop, and Woody sees something familiar, which happens to be Bo's little lamp. So they go inside, but they don't see Bo, and Woody pretty much gives up, but then they run to a few dolls, and at first they seem friendly and nice, just like some of the other villains from the Toy Story movies, but Gabby has a broken voice box that she can't use. So she wants Woody's voice box. So, but of course he's not going to go and just let her have it. So Woody is able to go and get out, but Forky isn't. So eventually Woody is in the carnival, and he runs into Bo Peep, of all people. And it's just, and at the carnival, it's there's all these toys that are lying around. I guess I don't know. I don't get it. It's just people just go and play with the toys and just leave them there. I didn't really get that part, but so he runs into Bo Peep, and they're so happy to go and see each other. And Woody tells her about where he is now and how he's trying to go and save Forky, and Bo is pretty much just like, screw all that, this is what you should have. And she's pretty much just saying that she likes being out in the open, and she's pretty much just tired of going from kid to kid to kid to kid, and she would just rather be out there than in there. So we then had to go and have Buzz trying to go and save Woody, and then he runs into these two stuffed animals, and for these characters, I don't really know about them. I mean, they were kind of annoying at times, because they were loud and annoying, and every single anime movie seems to have an annoying animal sidekick. I don't know why, but I mean, they weren't the worst, but still, I mean, they did have some funny scenes. There was that scene where they were making the plan to go and get the keys and trying to go and attack that old woman. That was pretty funny. I liked that, but still, they were probably my least favorite characters in the movie. So, pretty much a lot of the movie is about trying to go and get Forky, and then Buzz and Woody, not Buzz and Woody, Woody and Bo's relationship, and them becoming friends again, but showing that they're also quite a little bit different. Woody wants to be with his friend and Bonnie, but this Bo wants to go and be out there. So they pretty much go and save Forky, but she, the toy, will only do it if she goes and if she's allowed to go and get Woody's voice box. So I was thinking, no, he won't do it, but he does. He goes and gives her his voice box to her, and that probably really ruined his collector's value, considering that he had a working voice box, I mean, just having the hat made Al freak out. And now that he doesn't have a voice box anymore, he's probably worth $10 or so. So, at first, Gabby thinks she's going to go and get her owner, but the girl doesn't care about her and just throws her away. But so, Woody tries to go and convince her to go with Bonnie instead, and it looks like Bo's also convinced to go with him because, at first, she leaves Woody because he's so convinced of being with the toys and just is really about himself rather than all of his friends, so she leaves him. But in the end, she still sees that he has good intentions, and she goes with him. So they get to another owner, and who's willing to go and take Gabby for herself. But at the part where we're trying to go and see get to the new people, or get to Bonnie's family, Woody is kind of hesitant. He doesn't know whether he should go or not. So, we get to the ending where instead of saying goodbye to Bo, he says goodbye to everyone else. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute because it's kind of seen as controversial. So, he says goodbye to him and they say all their goodbyes and the movie ends. So, it was a really good movie and I thought it really surprised me. I didn't really cry at any of the parts. I did get really close at the part where Bo said goodbye to Woody. That did get me pretty close. I was trying to fight it. And I was also almost teary-eyed at the ending where Woody said goodbye to all his friends. Now, the ending is kind of seen as controversial. A lot of people are saying that it abandoned Woody's character. Woody is known to always be there for his owner, especially Andy. In all three movies, Woody was always willing to go and risk everything to get to Andy. Except for the first half in Toy Story 2 where he thought that Andy didn't want him, but once he found out that Andy wouldn't just go and abandon him just because his arms ripped, he comes to go his senses and he sees that he does want to be with Andy. But in this movie, he wants to go and stay with Bo instead, and a lot of people are saying that's abandoning his character. But we need to go and see that. You know how I talked about just several minutes ago where, how, Molly didn't want Bo anymore because she grew out of her? Well, here it's kind of the same thing. Bonnie doesn't want Woody. She doesn't really care for him. And that's shown in the beginning of the movie where he's just collecting dust and just stays in the closet. She doesn't really care about Woody as much. So because of that, he doesn't really have a reason to stay. He's just going to be left alone all the time. So he decides to go and just make a new life for himself. And a lot of people are also saying that even though it's not Bonnie's fault, Woody is making Bonnie break her promise to take care of Woody for Andy. How much Woody meant to Andy. So what if Andy was to go and see Bonnie again, and he's like, so how's Woody? Woody? Oh, yeah, I think I lost him. What? My father gave me that toy, and he's dead. So I can kind of see why fans are upset about that. I mean, I don't know why they decided to go and make this decision, and we need to remember that John Lasseter wasn't as involved with this movie because he left Pixar with the hugging controversy. So it was pretty much left to everyone else to go and decide what should they do with this movie. And the Toy Story movies were always kind of John Lasseter's baby. And without his involvement, you always had to wonder what the movies would be like. And I'm sure the ending probably would have been different if Lasseter was involved. And I know they went and changed a lot of the movie once he left, so my guess is that the movie was going to be a lot more different before he left. There were a lot of scenes that did make me laugh. I did think the scenes with Bonnie and Bonnie's family trying to go and leave, but they can't, were really funny. The part where the girl dinosaur was being the GPS locator, and he was just like, what's wrong with this thing? And then the toys are trying to go and make the car go on its own, and they're trying to go and drive, and there's all these freaking cop cars behind them, and the dad goes and opens the window, and the cop's just like, sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to get out of the vehicle. That scene was probably one of the funniest in the movie. It actually got a good chuckle out of me. There were, I think, a lot of other funny scenes that got me to laugh, like the old lady getting attacked in the Toys Fantasy, and probably more I could think of, but just can't remember off the top of my head right now. But it did have a lot of good comedy moments. I would even say that maybe it's the funniest out of all the movies. It's not as emotional out of all the movies or the best, but I would probably say it could be the funniest. So, I was kind of saddened that a lot of the other toys didn't have as many parts. Pretty much, it's all about Woody, Bo, kind of Forky, and kind of Buzz. All the other toys are pretty much forgotten about and just left to go and get some of their parts. I think Mr. Potato had about 3 lines, but obviously they had to do that since the guy died and they were just using recorded footage, and there's only so much recorded footage that they could use that could actually work for the film. So, I didn't actually spot the Pizza Planet truck in A113, so I had to look it up. So, the reason I couldn't find the Pizza Planet truck was because it technically doesn't appear. It's actually on the form of a tattoo. I think on that the hipster hippie carnival guy. So it was on his leg, I think, as a tattoo. So that's why I couldn't find it. I was actually looking for the actual truck, but from what I read, it's actually a tattoo. As for 8113, I read that it's apparently on a sign in the antique shop. I didn't see that too, but I'm sure it's in there somewhere. And there were also a lot of references to Pixar movies, like there was Doug. He was on this big giant painting of dogs playing poker, and then there was also supposedly a record of Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco, which is probably not going to be bought anymore because the La Cruz is now a fraud. So it's probably just going to be there forever. No one wants his music anymore. And it's not a Pixar reference, but Midnight, the Stars, and You from The Shining was in there, and there's pretty much a reference to The Shining in every Toy Story movie. So because Lee Umbridge is a huge Shining fan. I didn't see a reference to the next Pixar movie in there, Onward. I'm sure it's in there somewhere, but I didn't see it. And any other references I can think of? Not really. I heard that, or at least read that Andy was supposed to be in the movie, but I didn't see him. But I saw his name in the credits, but I didn't see him unless it was after the credits. And I did stick around for the mid-credit scenes, but I didn't stick around for the end credits. So maybe I just fell asleep for 5 minutes and just missed him, but I didn't see him at all. And so, I'm not really sure how I would rate this movie out of all the Pixar movies. That would take time to think of, but I think it is at the bottom of all the Toy Story movies, but it is a movie I still generally liked a lot. It surprised me. I had so many doubts coming into this movie. I thought it was just going to be the movie I was just going to go like, no, they ruined the franchise, no. But it was still pretty good. I mean, I try not to doubt Pixar at times, because I'm having doubts about this Onward movie. But still, I did like it, and I should probably try to go and doubt Pixar a lot less. And again, on the ending, I'm still not really too sure about it. I kind of wish that Buzz, if they went and did have Woody leave Bonnie, I kind of wish that Buzz would go with Woody, and then the 3 would be just this little trio who would go around the park forever. But I guess she plays with Buzz, so they couldn't really get away out of that, but still. Who knows, maybe in Toy Story 5 they were reused that Buzz Recall plot they never used for the original Toy Story 3, and then they can finally be all 3 be together. I did kind of like how they brought back some of the original toys from the first movies, like RC. I mean, he was only in for a few minutes, but it was still nice to see him. When he was in the mud, almost going to the drain, I was like, don't let him go in there, don't let him go in there, please! I mean, I don't care for him that much, but please don't kill him. I was also kind of hoping that maybe some of the other villains would be this movie, like Lotso or Sid, but that was wishful thinking. I pretty much knew it wasn't going to happen, but still, I was kind of hoping it would happen, even though I deep down knew it wasn't going to. So, yeah, it's overall a good movie, but still probably the worst out of all the movies. As where I would place it in my Pixar movies, I don't know, maybe number 11? I am gonna need time to go and think that over, but it is still a movie I did generally like, but I still can't help but wonder what would happen if Lasseter was still involved with the movie. But yeah, that's all I really pretty much had to say about it. Go ahead and see it. I mean, I think you would probably go, if you have doubts about the movie, I think you'll generally like it. You'll probably have maybe the same thoughts as me, but who knows, you might dislike it. So far, the worst reviews I've seen are pretty much average. People are just saying, it's okay, I mean, it's not great, but could have been a lot worse. So, yeah. That's my review of Toy Story 4. I liked it a lot. Oh, and surprisingly, they didn't have a short. I thought they were going to have a short like they do with pretty much every Pixar movie, but they didn't have one this time, so I was kind of surprised. I kind of wonder why they didn't have that. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this review of Toy Story 4, and I hope you have a great day.